that when we talk about investments in education, it's not about taking young people to primary schools, but guaranteeing that they go into further education. But this very particular case, it's very much that I think the continent seems to have lost its way on priorities. My Argentinian colleague is referring to their particular cases away from education, and before your question of education particularly. You know, we are the continent with the largest agricultural land in the world. It's very much about basically redirecting and strategically putting if you like, our monies where really our priorities lie. So back to education, yes, to the extent that possibly when you want to go onto CGTN conversation, you get worried about whether or not there will be power or whether or not there will be sufficient or quality internet. It just tells you that those are some of the structural problems we have. Now, if it's a structural infrastructure problem, it's also a challenge for an average young person who needs to be getting into education, getting into training. Post-COVID, we need to begin doing things, and we're really doing things in many ways differently. So if average young people cannot have reasonable access to internet, if they cannot have reasonable access to energy, then it's unlikely that the training scheme that we're talking about, whether it's in the training institutions or in their homes or perhaps in their dormitories, will not apply. So now governments basically need to begin to think and plan. And that's why I strongly believe that some of the protests like in Kenya is a reawakening call for the continent. But look at it. In Nigeria's case, part of the challenges that led to the protests, particularly for teachers, if you look at their wage demand, right now what they're asking for is hardly $200, $160 or thereabout, and that is a demand. Can you imagine an average citizen, even in many of these African capitals, living on $200 a month? It's impossible. So these things need leadership, and that's why I don't know. Possibly they require and they need a Chinese leader to bang a table onto them, to tell them how China did it, and to tell them that possibly China may also need to be wanting to review that, look, we will help you as a sister continent, but we will need to begin to do things maybe our way. Maybe that's a consideration for most of African governments to look at.